One rainy night on a deserted highway, a mechanic stops to help a stranded motorist with a flat tire. He refuses payment, saying only, "Just help someone else someday." Little does he know he's just helped rising political star Barack Obama, or that by tomorrow he'll lose everything he owns. But when Barack Obama discovers the tragic turn of events, his response will change not just one man's life, but countless others. This is how a simple act of kindness in the worst conditions can lead to extraordinary generosity that no one could have imagined. Rain pounded against Marcus Williams's old Ford truck as he drove home on the empty highway. The windshield wipers squeaked back and forth, fighting against the downpour. Lightning flashed across the dark sky, followed by a deep rumble of thunder. Marcus yawned and rubbed his tired eyes. It had been a long day at Joe's auto shop, 12 hours of fixing cars, changing oil, and replacing worn-out parts. His hands were rough and his back ached, but he kept going. He had to. His 10-year-old daughter Lily was waiting for him at home. "Just 15 more minutes," Marcus whispered to himself. "Then I can kick off these boots and relax." The truck's headlights cut through the rain, showing the empty road ahead. Most people were smart enough to stay home on a night like this. The radio weatherman had called it the worst storm of the year. As Marcus rounded a curve, he noticed flashing hazard lights up ahead. A car was pulled over on the shoulder of the road. Through the rain, he could see it was much fancier than his old truck, some kind of luxury sedan that probably cost more than he made in 5 years. Marcus slowed down as he approached. He could see a tall figure standing beside the car, looking at a flat tire. The man wore expensive clothes that were getting soaked in the rain. For a moment, Marcus thought about driving past. He was tired. He was hungry. Lily's babysitter, their elderly neighbor Mrs. Chun, would be waiting to go home, and rich people in fancy cars usually had roadside assistance to call. But something made Marcus pull over. His mom had always taught him to help others when they needed it. "That's what makes the world work," she would say. Marcus parked his truck, grabbed his toolbox from the back, and pulled his jacket over his head as he jogged toward the stranded car. "Need some help?" Marcus called over the sound of the rain. The tall man turned, looking surprised to see someone stopping. "My tire blew out," he said, pointing to the flat. "I was trying to change it, but this rain isn't making it easy." Marcus nodded. Even in the poor light and rain, he could tell this was one expensive car. The man was tall and well-dressed, but Marcus didn't pay much attention to his face. He was focused on the problem. "I'm a mechanic," Marcus said. "Let me take a look." The man stepped back, giving Marcus room to work. Marcus knelt by the flat tire, not caring that his jeans were getting soaked. This was just another job to him. "Do you have a spare?" Marcus asked. The man nodded and pointed to the trunk. "Everything's in there, but I'm not sure where the jack points are on this model." Marcus smiled. "I can figure it out." For the next 20 minutes, Marcus worked in the pouring rain. He found the proper jack points, lifted the car safely, and removed the flat tire. His experienced hands worked quickly despite the weather. The whole time, the tall man stood nearby, occasionally holding a flashlight to help Marcus see better. "You're good at this," the man said. Marcus shrugged as he tightened the last lug nut on the spare tire. "Been fixing cars since I was 16. My dad taught me. Then I went to trade school." "I'm lucky you came along," the man said. "Could have been stuck here for hours." Marcus lowered the car back to the ground and collected his tools. "No problem. Just make sure to get a proper tire soon. That spare isn't meant for long drives." The rain had slowed a little, but both men were soaked. The tall man reached into his pocket and pulled out a wallet. "Please, let me pay you for your help," he said, offering what looked like several $100 bills. Marcus shook his head and held up his hand. "No need for that. Just helping out." "I insist," the man said. "You saved me a lot of trouble." "Really, it's fine," Marcus said firmly. "Just help someone else someday." The man looked at Marcus with a curious expression, then slowly put his wallet away. "Thank you," he said simply. Marcus nodded, picked up his toolbox, and headed back to his truck. He didn't see the man watching him drive away, a thoughtful look on his face. Back in his truck, Marcus turned the heater up high, trying to dry off a bit. His clothes were soaked, his hands were dirty, and he was now even more tired than before. But somehow he felt good. He had done the right thing. Marcus didn't know the name of the man he had helped. He had no idea he had just changed a tire for Barack Obama, the rising young senator from Illinois, and he certainly couldn't have guessed how this simple act of kindness on a stormy night would change his life forever. As Marcus drove the final few miles home, the rain began to let up. He thought about Lily and hoped she had finished her homework. He was looking forward to hearing about her day at school. Little did Marcus know that in less than 24 hours, his whole world would come crashing down around him. Marcus pulled into the parking lot of Oakwood Apartments, a plain three-story building on Chicago's west side. It wasn't fancy, but it had been home since Lily was born. He parked his truck in his usual spot and hurried to apartment 2B. When he opened the door, he found Mrs. Chen sitting on the couch, watching a game show. The elderly woman lived next door and watched Lily when Marcus worked late. "Sorry I'm late, Mrs. Chen," Marcus said, shaking rainwater from his jacket. "Got caught in the storm and stopped to help someone with a flat tire." Mrs. Chen smiled and gathered her knitting. "No problem, Marcus." Lily finished her homework and ate the chicken soup I brought over. "She's reading in her room." "You're a lifesaver," Marcus said, walking her to the door. "I don't know what we'd do without you." After Mrs. Chen left, Marcus knocked gently on Lily's bedroom door. "Hey, basketball star, can I come in?" "Dad." Lily looked up from her book, her face brightening. At 10 years old, she had her mother's warm brown eyes and curly hair. "You're all wet." "Yeah, got caught in the rain," Marcus said, sitting on the edge of her bed. "How was school today?" Lily launched into a story about her day, especially basketball practice. "Coach says I'm getting better at free throws. Maybe I'll be as good as Michael Jordan someday." Marcus smiled. Basketball was Lily's passion. Her bedroom walls were covered with posters of basketball stars, with Michael Jordan front and center. A shelf displayed her growing collection of trophies and medals. "Keep practicing and you might be even better," Marcus said, though he felt a pang in his chest. Maria should be here to see their daughter grow up. 3 years had passed since cancer took his wife, but the empty space she left still ached. Maria had been the family's sunshine, warm, bright, and full of life. Now it was just Marcus and Lily, doing their best to keep going. "Did you eat dinner?" Lily asked, sounding more like a parent than a child. "Not yet. Think I'll heat up some of Mrs. Chen's soup." Marcus stood up. "You should get ready for bed. It's already past 9. In the kitchen, Marcus found a note from Mrs. Chen attached to a container of soup. "The sink is leaking again." Called the building manager but no answer. Marcus sighed as he looked under the sink. Sure enough, water was dripping from the pipes. He grabbed a bucket and made a mental note to fix it this weekend. It was always something in this old apartment: leaky pipes, broken heaters, cracked windows. The rent was cheap, but After eating his soup, Marcus sat at the kitchen table with a pile of bills. Rent was due next week. Lily needed new basketball shoes. The truck needed repairs. There never seemed to be enough money, no matter how many hours he worked at the auto shop. "Dad." Lily stood in the doorway in her pajamas, hugging the teddy bear Maria had given her. "Can you tuck me in?" Marcus pushed the bills aside. "Of course, sweetie." In her room, Lily climbed into bed and Marcus pulled the covers up. "Dad, you look worried. Is everything okay?" "Everything's fine," Marcus lied, forcing a smile. "Just tired from work." "Tell me about the person you helped tonight," Lily said. Marcus described the stranded driver and the flat tire. "It was pouring rain, but I couldn't just drive past someone who needed help, like Mom always said." Lily nodded. "Good things happen to good people." It was Maria's favorite saying. "That's right," Marcus said, though sometimes he wondered if it was true. Maria had been the best person he knew, and cancer still took her. "The man tried to pay me, but I told him to just help someone else someday instead." Lily smiled proudly. "That's what Mom would have done." "Yeah, she would have." Marcus kissed her forehead. "Good night, Lily Bear. Love you to the moon and back. Love you to the stars and beyond," Lily replied, their nightly ritual. After Lily fell asleep, Marcus took a quick shower and changed into dry clothes. He checked the apartment windows to make sure they were locked against the storm, which had picked up again. Rain lashed against the glass and thunder rumbled in the distance. In the living room, Marcus looked at the framed photo of Maria on the bookshelf. She was laughing in the picture, her arms around both Marcus and a 5-year-old Lily at the beach. "I'm trying my best, Maria," he whispered. "I hope it's enough." Marcus stretched out on the couch, too tired to make it to his bedroom. His muscles ached from the long day and his mind was heavy with worries: the leak under the sink, the bills piling up, the truck making that strange noise. But there were good things too. Lily was healthy and happy. they had a roof over their heads, and today he'd helped someone who needed it. As Marcus drifted off to sleep, rain drumming against the windows, he had no idea that in just a few hours, the life he'd carefully rebuilt after Maria's death would be completely shattered. No idea that the simple act of changing a stranger's tire would become the lifeline he and Lily would desperately need. The blaring sound of alarms jolted Marcus awake. For a moment he was confused, thinking it was his morning alarm clock, but this sound was different, louder, more urgent. Then he smelled it: smoke. Lily! Marcus leapt from the couch, suddenly wide awake. The apartment was hazy with smoke, and the hallway outside his door was filled with the sounds of people shouting and running. The building fire alarm screamed its warning. Marcus raced to Lily's room and found her sitting up in bed, eyes wide with fear. "Dad, what's happening?" she asked, coughing. "We need to go right now." Marcus grabbed her winter coat from the hook on her door and wrapped it around her shoulders. "Building's on fire. Stay low where there's less smoke." He took her hand and they crouched down, moving quickly toward the front door. Marcus placed his palm against it, not too hot. He opened it carefully and saw neighbors hurrying toward the stairwell. "Everyone out!" the building manager shouted, banging on doors. "Fire started on the first floor. Move quickly." Marcus and Lily joined the stream of people heading downstairs. The smoke was thicker here, making their eyes water and throats burn. Lily clutched her teddy bear with one hand and held on to Marcus with the other. "Almost there," Marcus encouraged her as they reached the second-floor landing. Outside, the night air was cold but clear. Residents of the Oakwood apartments huddled together in the parking lot, watching as flames began to show through first-floor windows. Fire trucks arrived, sirens wailing, red lights flashing against the dark buildings. "Is everyone out?" a firefighter asked the building manager. "I think so," the manager replied, looking at the gathered crowd. "Fire started in 1C. Looks like electrical." Marcus held Lily close as they watched firefighters battle the flames. The old building's wiring had always been problematic. How many times had Marcus reported flickering lights and power surges to the building manager? Mrs. Chen appeared beside them, her silver hair loose around her shoulders instead of in its usual neat bun. "Thank goodness you're both safe," she said, patting Lily's arm. More neighbors joined their small group. Everyone had escaped, but they all watched with sinking hearts as water and smoke damaged everything they owned. "Dad, our stuff," Lily whispered, her voice trembling. "Mom's picture." "It's just stuff," Marcus said, trying to sound brave. "We got out safely. That's what matters." But even as he said it, Marcus felt the weight of the disaster. The photo of Maria at the beach, Lily's basketball trophies, their clothes, furniture, and the small savings he kept in a box in his closet. Everything they owned was in that apartment. By dawn, the fire was out, but the damage was severe. The first floor was gutted by flames, and water had flooded the second and third floors. A fire marshal approached the gathered residents. "I'm sorry, but no one can go back inside right now," he explained. "The structure isn't safe. The Red Cross is setting up at the community center 2 blocks over. They'll help with temporary housing and necessities." Marcus nodded numbly. He looked down at Lily, still in her pajamas under her coat, clutching her teddy bear, the only possession she had managed to save. At the community center, Red Cross volunteers handed out blankets, water, and information. They set up cots for those with nowhere else to go. "We can stay here tonight," Marcus told Lily as a volunteer showed them to 2 cots in the corner. "Tomorrow we'll figure things out." Lily nodded bravely, but Marcus could see the tears she was fighting back. While Lily rested, Marcus stepped outside to call Joe's auto shop. He was supposed to be at work in an hour, but that was impossible now. "Joe's Auto," a voice answered. "Hey, it's Marcus. There was a fire in my apartment building last night. Everyone's safe, but we lost everything. I won't be able to make it in today." There was a long pause on the other end. "Listen, Marcus," Joe finally said, his voice uncomfortable. "There's something I need to tell you. The shop's been sold. New owner is taking over next week." Marcus felt his stomach drop. "What does that mean for me?" "New guy's bringing in his own crew. I tried to talk him into keeping you, but..." Joe trailed off. "I'm sorry, Marcus. Yesterday was your last day." Marcus leaned against the wall, stunned. In less than 12 hours, he had lost his home, all his possessions, and now his job. "I understand," he managed to say. "Thanks for everything, Joe." He hung up and stared at his phone. How would he tell Lily? How would they survive? When he returned to the cot area, he found Lily sitting up, looking at her teddy bear. The bear's fur was smoky and one eye was loose. "Dad," she said quietly, "remember when Mom would say that sometimes things get worse before they get better?" Marcus nodded, his throat tight. "I think this is one of those times," Lily said, trying to sound grown up. Marcus sat beside her and pulled her close. "You're right, Lily Bear, this is one of those times." But as they sat together in the crowded community center, surrounded by their displaced neighbors, Marcus had no idea how things. 1 week later, Marcus sat on the edge of a sagging bed in the Moonlight Motel, a worn-down place on the outskirts of Chicago. The emergency assistance money had paid for a week here, but they had only 3 days left before that ran out. Lily was at school. Thankfully, her school was understanding about the situation, and one of the teachers had donated some clothes and supplies. The school counselor had even arranged for Lily to get free lunch, small kindnesses that Marcus appreciated more than he could say. He stared at his phone, scrolling through job listings. He'd already applied for 27 positions, applications sent out, 3 interviews, no offers. "You're overqualified," one manager had told him. "You'd get bored with this position. We're looking for someone with more formal education," another had said. "We'll keep your application on file," the third had promised, which Marcus knew meant nothing. Outside the motel window, his old truck sat silent in the parking lot. It had finally given up 2 days ago, the engine making a terrible grinding noise before dying completely. A mechanic without a working vehicle. The irony wasn't lost on Marcus. He'd had to use the last of their emergency cash to buy bus passes. Now Lily had to wake up an hour earlier to catch the bus to school, and Marcus had to navigate public transportation to get to job interviews. His phone buzzed with a text from Mrs. Chen. "How are you and Lily doing? Many neighbors found new apartments. Building owner offering small compensation for damaged items." Marcus sighed. The compensation wouldn't be nearly enough to replace everything they'd lost, and without a steady job, no landlord would rent to him anyway. He texted back, "We're hanging in there. Please let me know if you hear of any jobs." The room felt stuffy and small, 2 beds, a bathroom with a dripping shower, and a mini fridge that hummed too loudly. Their few rescued items and donated clothes were piled in the corner. The Red Cross had given them some toiletries and gift cards for food, but those were running low too. Marcus opened his wallet and counted the money again, $83. Not enough for another week at the motel. Not enough for much of anything. He looked at the toolbox sitting by the door, his professional tools that he'd kept in the truck, the only things of value they still owned. He'd been hoping to use them for work. But now, 2 hours later, Marcus walked out of a pawn shop with $400 in his pocket and an empty feeling in his stomach. The tools had been his father's originally. It felt like selling a piece of himself, but the money would buy them another week at the motel and food to eat. 1 more week to find a job, any job. As Marcus waited at the bus stop, his phone rang. It was Coach Turner, Lily's basketball coach. "Hey, Marcus, just checking in. How are you two holding up?" "We're okay," Marcus lied, taking it day by day. "Listen, we've got practice tonight and Saturday morning. I'd be happy to pick Lily up and bring her home." Marcus hesitated. He didn't like asking for help, but Lily loved basketball. It was the one normal thing left in her life. "That would be great, Coach, thank you. The team misses her. She's our best point guard, you know." After hanging up, Marcus felt a mix of gratitude and shame. People were being kind, but he hated being a charity case. He was supposed to provide for Lily, not rely on others to help them. When Lily returned from school that afternoon, she tried to sound cheerful as she told Marcus about her day, but he could see the shadows under her eyes and the way her smile didn't quite reach them. "Coach Turner's going to pick you up for practice tonight," Marcus told her. For the first time that week, Lily's face lit up with genuine excitement. "Really? I can go to practice?" "Yep, I figured you'd want to keep up with your jump shots." Lily hugged him tightly. "Thanks, Dad. I'll show Coach I've been practicing my free throws." After she left with Coach Turner, Marcus sat alone in the quiet motel room. He opened the mini fridge and took out a sandwich he'd bought at the gas station, dinner for one. That night, after Lily was asleep, Marcus sat by the window watching cars pass on the highway. He thought about Maria and how she'd always been the optimistic one. "Good things happen to good people," she would say whenever times were tough. Marcus wanted to believe that. He really did. But sitting in a rundown motel room, jobless, With their belongings in a pawn shop and their home gone, it was hard to see what good could possibly come next. Tomorrow he had two more job interviews, one at a fast food restaurant and another at a warehouse. Neither would pay enough to get them a decent apartment, but it would be something. Anything was better than nothing. Marcus rubbed his tired eyes and looked over at Lily, peaceful in sleep with her teddy bear clutched to her chest. She deserved so much better than this. "I'm trying, Maria," he whispered into the darkness. "I don't know what else to do, but I'm trying." As he finally climbed into bed, Marcus couldn't know that miles away in a hotel suite overlooking the Chicago skyline, someone was thinking about the kind mechanic who had helped him in the rain and refused payment. Someone who was about to change everything. The next morning, Marcus woke to the sound of his phone ringing. He fumbled for it, wondering if it was one of the places he'd applied to. The screen showed an unknown number. "Hello?" he answered, his voice still rough from sleep. "Is this Marcus Williams?" a woman's crisp, professional voice asked. "Yes, that's me. Mr. Williams, my name is Sarah Mitchell. I'm a staff member for Senator Barack Obama. He would like to meet with you today if possible." Marcus sat up, confused. "Senator Obama? Who do you work for?" "I'm afraid I'm not at liberty to say over the phone," Sarah replied. "The senator is a private person, but he's very interested in speaking with you." Marcus frowned. This sounded suspicious. "Look, I don't mean to be rude, but I'm not really in a position to go meet with strangers right now." "I understand your hesitation," Sarah said. "Perhaps I can explain a bit more. The senator was in a difficult situation recently, a flat tire during that big storm last week. Someone stopped to help him, refused payment, and then drove off before he could properly thank them." Marcus's heart skipped a beat. "The man with the fancy car in the rain. That was me," he said slowly. "But how did you find me?" "The senator has resources," Sarah said simply. "He's been trying to track you down to thank you properly. When he learned about your current situation, he became even more determined to meet." Marcus felt a mix of emotions, surprise that the stranger had sought him out, wariness about what he might want, and a tiny flicker of hope. What exactly does he want? He'd prefer to discuss that in person. "We can send a car to pick you up this morning while your daughter is at school. The meeting shouldn't take more than an hour." Marcus glanced at Lily, still asleep in the other bed. He had a job interview at the warehouse at 2 o'clock. Whatever this was, it couldn't hurt to hear what the man had to say. "Okay," he finally agreed. "I can meet him this morning." "Excellent." Sarah sounded pleased. "A car will arrive at your location at 10 o'clock. The driver's name is Robert. He'll bring you to our office downtown." After hanging up, Marcus sat on the edge of his bed, wondering if he'd made a smart decision. Who was this Barack Obama, and why was he so interested in talking? When Lily woke up, Marcus helped her get ready for school and walked her to the bus stop. "I've got a meeting this morning," he told her, "about a possible job." This wasn't exactly true, but he didn't want to get her hopes up about something he didn't understand himself. "That's great, Dad." Lily hugged him before climbing on the bus. "Good luck." "Thanks, basketball star. I'll see you after school." At exactly 10 o'clock, a sleek black car pulled up outside the motel. The driver, a friendly man in a suit, introduced himself as Robert and opened the back door for Marcus. Inside, the car was the nicest Marcus had ever been in: leather seats, tinted windows, even a small refrigerator with water bottles. "First time in a town car?" Robert asked with a smile, catching Marcus's expression in the rearview mirror. "That obvious, huh?" Marcus smiled back. "Not exactly my usual transportation." As they drove toward downtown Chicago, Marcus looked down at his clothes, his cleanest jeans and a button-up shirt Mrs. Chen had given him from her son's closet. Not exactly business attire, but the best he had. The car pulled up to a government building in the heart of downtown. Robert escorted Marcus inside to a security checkpoint, then to an elevator that required a key card. "Ms. Mitchell will meet you on the 5th floor," Robert explained as the elevator whisked them upward. The elevator opened into a reception area with flags and official portraits on the walls. A professional woman with a tablet in hand approached them. "Mr. Williams, I'm Sarah Mitchell. Thank you for coming on such short notice." She led Marcus through double doors into a waiting area with comfortable chairs and windows overlooking the city. "Can I get you anything? Water? Coffee?" "Water would be great," Marcus said, feeling out of place in the government surroundings. Sarah brought him a glass of water and gestured to one of the chairs. The senator will be with you shortly. He's just finishing up a call. After she left, Marcus sat nervously, looking around the office. The walls were decorated with framed photographs and certificates. Something about them seemed familiar, but Marcus was too anxious to pay close attention. Who was behind those closed doors? A senator, but Marcus didn't follow politics much, and what could they possibly want with him? Marcus wiped his sweaty palms on his jeans. Whatever this was about, he hoped it would be worth the trip. He had a daughter counting on him, and right now they needed all the help they could get. The door to the inner office opened and Sarah appeared again. He's ready to see you now, Mr. Williams. Marcus stood, took a deep breath, and followed her toward the door, completely unprepared for who he was about to meet. As the door swung open, Marcus stepped into a spacious office with windows overlooking the Chicago skyline. Bookshelves lined the walls, filled with law books and political volumes. Behind a large desk stood a tall, well-dressed man with a warm smile that Marcus had seen on television and in newspapers. Barack Obama. Marcus froze, his mouth falling open in shock. The rising political star, the young senator everyone was talking about as a future presidential candidate, was standing right in front of him. Mr. Williams, Barack said, stepping forward with his hand extended. Thank you for coming. Marcus shook Barack's hand automatically, still trying to process what was happening. You're Senator Obama, he finally managed to say. Barack's smile widened. Last time I checked. And you're the mechanic who changed my tire in the pouring rain and refused to take any money for it. Suddenly everything clicked into place. The fancy car in the storm, the well-dressed man in expensive clothes. Marcus had changed Barack Obama's tire and hadn't even realized it. That was you? Marcus asked, still stunned. I didn't recognize you in the dark. Which made your kindness even more meaningful, Barack said, gesturing to a comfortable chair. Please, have a seat. Marcus sat down, feeling like he was in some kind of dream. Sarah quietly closed the door, leaving them alone. I've been trying to find you since that night, Barack explained, sitting across from Marcus. You disappeared before I could thank you properly. It was just a flat tire, Marcus said. Anyone would have stopped. Barack shook his head. No, they wouldn't have, especially not in that storm, and they definitely wouldn't have refused payment. He leaned forward, resting his elbows on his knees. After you left, I realized I didn't even get your name, but I remembered your truck's license plate. I had my staff track you down. That's impressive, Marcus said, still trying to wrap his head around the situation. My team is good at finding information, Barack said, which is how I learned about the fire in your job. His expression grew serious. I'm sorry about everything you've been going through. Marcus shifted uncomfortably in his seat. It was strange to think that Barack Obama knew about his personal troubles. We're managing, he said simply. Tell me about yourself, Barack said. You mentioned you've been a mechanic since you were 16. The question was so normal, so genuine, that Marcus found himself relaxing slightly. He told Barack about learning the trade from his father, about working at Joe's auto shop for the past 8 years, and briefly about losing his wife to cancer. And your daughter? Barack asked. Sarah mentioned you have a 10-year-old. At the mention of Lily, Marcus couldn't help but smile. Lily, she's the best thing in my life. Smart, brave, and basketball crazy. Actually, she has posters of Michael Jordan all over her bedroom wall. He paused, then added, well, she did before the fire. Barack nodded thoughtfully. What's your situation right now? My staff gave me the basics, but I'd like to hear it from you. Marcus hesitated. It was embarrassing to lay out just how bad things had gotten, especially to someone like Barack Obama. But something in Barack's expression, a genuine interest without pity, made Marcus decide to be honest. We've been staying at the Moonlight Motel. Emergency assistance paid for the first week, and I pawned my tools for another week's stay. I've applied for every mechanic job in the area, but nothing yet. I have 2 interviews today, warehouse and fast food. Marcus took a deep breath. We don't have much left, to be honest. Barack listened without interrupting. When Marcus finished, he stood and walked to the window, looking out at the city. You know, when my car broke down that night, I was coming back from a community meeting. The irony wasn't lost on me. There I was, having just given a speech about helping others, and suddenly I needed help myself. He turned back to face Marcus. I'm not used to feeling helpless. I don't like it. But there I was, stuck in the rain with a flat tire and no idea how to fix it. It's not that complicated, Marcus said without thinking. I could teach Lily to change a tire in 15 minutes. Barack laughed. A genuine, warm sound. I believe you could, but that night, you did more than fix my car. You reminded me of something important. What's that? Marcus asked. That real kindness doesn't ask for anything in return. Barack returned to his seat. When I tried to pay you, you said something that stuck with me. Marcus remembered saying those words. They were something his mother used to say. That's how it's supposed to work, isn't it? Barack studied him for a moment. You really believe that, don't you? Even after everything that's happened? Marcus thought about it. Despite losing Maria, despite the fire, despite every setback, did he still believe in kindness and helping others? I have to, he said finally. Otherwise, what am I teaching Lily? Barack nodded slowly, as if Marcus had confirmed something important. I believe good things happen to good people too, Barack said, echoing Maria's favorite saying so closely that Marcus felt a chill. For a moment, neither man spoke. Then Barack straightened in his chair, his expression becoming more businesslike. I want to thank you properly for your help that night, he said. Marcus started to protest, but Barack held up a hand to stop him. I'm not finished. I've been thinking about this for days, about what kind of thank you would be meaningful. He paused. But I need to know more about you first. Your skills, your experience, what you really want to be doing. What I want? Marcus repeated, confused. It had been so long since anyone had asked him that. He'd been in survival mode for years, first after Maria's death, now after the fire. What did he want? I guess I want what everyone wants, he said finally. Security for my family. A job I'm good at. A chance to give Lily a good life. Barack smiled. Fair enough. And very well said. He stood up and extended his hand again. Thank you for coming today, Marcus. I won't keep you from your job interviews. Marcus stood and shook Barack's hand, feeling oddly disappointed. He'd expected, well, he wasn't sure what he'd expected. Sarah will make sure you get back to the motel, Barack said, walking him to the door. And Marcus? Don't give up. Things have a way of working out. As Marcus followed Sarah back to the elevator, he couldn't help wondering what had just happened. Had he really met Barack Obama? And more importantly, what had been the point of it all? Little did he know, Barack Obama was already making a phone call that would change Marcus and Lily's lives forever. The next morning, Marcus sat on the edge of the motel bed, staring at his phone. Neither of yesterday's job interviews had gone well. The warehouse manager had hired someone with forklift experience, and the fast food restaurant wanted someone younger, though they hadn't said that directly. Lily was getting dressed for school in the bathroom. Marcus could hear her humming a tune, something she did when she was trying to stay positive. She was so much like her mother that way. His phone rang, startling him. The screen showed Sarah Mitchell's name. His heart beat faster as he answered. Hello? Mr. Williams, this is Sarah Mitchell from Senator Obama's office. Do you have a few minutes to talk? Marcus glanced toward the bathroom where Lily was still getting ready. Sure, what's this about? The senator has made some calls on your behalf. There's a position available that might interest you, head mechanic at Capitol Fleet Services. They maintain all the government vehicles in the Chicago area. Marcus felt his heart skip. Head mechanic? But I don't have management experience. The senator spoke with the owner personally. They're willing to train you into the role. The starting salary is $65,000 a year, plus full benefits and housing assistance. Marcus sat down hard on the bed. $65,000 was more than he'd ever made in his life. Are you serious? Very serious. They'd like you to come in for an interview today at 2 o'clock. I can send a car to pick you up. After hanging up, Marcus stared at the phone in disbelief. When Lily emerged from the bathroom, she immediately noticed his expression. Dad? What's wrong? You look weird. I think something good just happened, Lily Bear. 2 hours later, Marcus stood outside Capitol Fleet Services, a large garage facility near downtown Chicago. The building was modern and clean, with a fleet of government vehicles parked in orderly rows. Inside, he met with Tom Peterson, the owner, a friendly man in his 50s who seemed genuinely excited to meet Marcus. "Senator Obama spoke very highly of you," Tom said as they toured the facility. "He told me about how you helped him that night, and frankly, that's the kind of character we want here." The garage was impressive, state-of-the-art equipment, organized tool stations, and a team of mechanics who clearly took pride in their work. "The position involves managing a team of 12 mechanics," Tom explained. "We service everything from police cruisers to city buses. It's demanding work, but rewarding." "I've never managed people before," Marcus admitted. Tom smiled. "Leadership isn't about having all the answers. It's about caring enough to help your team succeed. Senator Obama seems to think you've got that quality." By the end of the interview, Marcus had a job offer and a start date for the following Monday. That evening, Marcus and Lily sat in a booth at a nearby diner, their first real meal out since the fire. Marcus had splurged on the celebration, knowing that better days were ahead. "So this job came from the man whose tire you fixed?" Lily asked, still trying to understand the story. "That's right. Turns out he was Senator Barack Obama." Lily's eyes widened. "The guy who might be president someday?" "That's him." Lily grinned. "Mom always said good things happen to good people." Marcus felt tears prick his eyes. "She sure did." As they walked back to the motel that night, Marcus's phone buzzed with a text from an unknown number. "Thank you for reminding me what real kindness looks like. Looking forward to hearing about your new adventure. Barack." Marcus stood in the doorway of their new apartment, a bright, spacious two-bedroom place just 15 minutes from Lily's school. The walls were decorated with new photos, including the one picture of Maria they'd managed to save from a neighbor who'd grabbed it during the fire. Lily's room was once again covered with basketball posters, and her shelf displayed both old trophies recovered from friends and new ones from her current season. She was thriving at her new school and had made the varsity team despite being one of the youngest players. Marcus had been promoted to regional manager after just 4 months, overseeing 3 different fleet maintenance facilities. His team respected him, and he discovered he had a natural talent for bringing out the best in people. The apartment complex had a basketball court, and every evening after dinner, Marcus and Lily would go outside to practice. She was getting better every day, her dream of playing like Michael Jordan seeming more achievable. The letter arrived on a Saturday morning while Marcus was making pancakes and Lily was getting ready for basketball practice. The return address made him stop in his tracks: Obama for America campaign headquarters. Inside was a handwritten note. "Marcus, I wanted you to be among the first to know. I'm announcing my candidacy for President of the United States next week. This campaign is about the idea that everyone deserves a chance, that small acts of kindness can change everything, and that ordinary people can do extraordinary things. You changed my tire that night, but more importantly, you changed my perspective. Your story, a hard-working father doing his best for his daughter, helping a stranger without expecting anything in return, that's the America I want to fight for. I hope you and Lily will consider joining us at the announcement. She mentioned she likes basketball. I'd love to introduce her to some friends of mine who happen to play the game pretty well. Thank you for everything, Barack." The crowd in Springfield, Illinois was electric as Barack Obama stepped up to the podium to announce his presidential campaign. In the VIP section, Marcus and Lily watched in amazement, still hardly believing they were there. "Today, we stand at a crossroads," Barack began. "We can choose to believe that change is possible, that ordinary Americans can do extraordinary things when they help one another." After the speech, Barack found them in the crowd. "Lily," he said, kneeling down to her level, "I have someone I want you to meet." He gestured to a tall man standing nearby, someone Lily recognized immediately. "Michael Jordan," she gasped. Michael smiled and extended his hand. "Heard you've got some serious skills on the court. Your dad's told everyone about his basketball star daughter." As Lily stood speechless, shaking hands with her hero, Marcus felt a presence beside him. He turned to see Barack watching the interaction with a satisfied smile. "How did you?" Marcus started. "Let's just say when you're running for president, you meet a lot of people," Barack said. "Some of them happen to be basketball legends who believe in helping kids chase their dreams." Michael was now talking to Lily about her technique, offering to connect her with a youth basketball camp he supported. You didn't have to do this, Marcus said to Barack. Yes, I did, Barack replied. That night in the rain, you could have driven past. You could have taken my money. Instead, you showed me what this country is really about, people helping people, not because they have to, but because it's right. He put his hand on Marcus's shoulder. Besides, I told you that night good things happen to good people. Sometimes it just takes a while. Marcus and Lily sat in their living room, now in a house they'd been able to buy with Marcus's success at Capital Fleet Services, watching the election results come in. The television showed Barack Obama's victory speech as he became the 44th President of the United States. Can you believe we know him? Lily asked, now 15 and captain of her high school basketball team. Sometimes I still can't, Marcus admitted. On the coffee table sat a framed photo from the campaign announcement. Marcus, Lily, Barack, and Michael Jordan, all smiling at the camera. Next to it was Maria's beach photo, both memories precious reminders of how far they'd come. As President-elect Obama spoke about hope and change, Marcus thought about that rainy night 5 years ago. He'd simply done what felt right, helped someone who needed it. He never could have imagined where that simple act of kindness would lead. Dad, Lily said, interrupting his thoughts, remember what Mom used to say? Marcus smiled, knowing exactly what she meant. Together, they said it out loud. Good things happen to good people. And sometimes, Marcus reflected, they happen in ways you never could have dreamed. Former President Barack Obama stood at the podium of the newly opened Williams Community Center, a state-of-the-art facility providing automotive training and youth basketball programs in Chicago's West Side. This center represents everything I believe about America, he told the gathered crowd. It was built by a man who stopped to help a stranger on a rainy night, who lost everything but never lost his faith in doing what's right. In the front row, Marcus Williams sat with his wife. He'd remarried 3 years earlier to Anna, a teacher who loved both him and Lily completely. Beside them sat Lily, now a college graduate with a degree in mechanical engineering and a walk-on spot with the WNBA's Chicago Sky. The Williams Community Center will train the next generation of skilled workers while giving kids a safe place to chase their dreams. Barack continued, it's proof that when we help each other, we all rise together. After the ceremony, Barack found Marcus near the basketball courts where dozens of kids were already shooting hoops. Not bad for a guy who used to fix cars in the rain, Barack said with a grin. Marcus looked around at the center that bore his name, a place where kids from his old neighborhood could learn trades and play basketball safely. The funding had come from multiple sources, but Barack had made the crucial calls to get it started. I never thanked you properly, Marcus said. For what? Barack asked. You're the one who stopped that night. You're the one who built this place. No, Marcus said, watching Lily demonstrate proper shooting form to a group of young girls. Thank you for showing me that helping one person really can change everything. Barack smiled and put his arm around his friend's shoulders. Marcus, that's a lesson you taught me. As they stood watching the next generation of dreamers chase basketballs across the gleaming court, both men understood a truth that had started with a flat tire in the rain. The smallest acts of kindness create ripples that can change the world. Sometimes you just have to be willing to stop and help, even when you have every reason to keep driving.